The Green Ranger saga continues, from green to white. Last time we talked about how Tommy's powers were taken away and restored to him, only with the asterisk that his powers were limited. And throughout seasons 1 and 2, we saw many instances of Rita and Zed revolving their schemes around draining his powers. But the last time he used them was during the two-parter Green No More, where he used up the last of his powers. This broke the hearts of many kids because there were implications that Tommy was going to star in the VR Troopers show and leave Power Rangers forever. That was until rumors of another Ranger joining the team started to spread, and the two-parter White Light where we met that Ranger. So that's what I want to accomplish with this video, talk about the end of the Green Ranger and the rise of the White Ranger. With all that said, I'm Rocko from Reamlore, and let's dive in. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to like and subscribe because we upload videos just like this one on our Reamlore channel. We upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, so be sure you're subscribed with that bell pressed so you get notified when we upload. Real quick before we start, I want to catch you all up on what's happened in Mighty Morphin because we moved from Season 1 to Season 2. With that change, we got a brand new villain in the form of Lord Zed. Lord Zed is one of the most iconic villains in Power Rangers, a completely original American villain with bloody exposed muscles, silver metal skeleton armor, a super cool face mask, and a brooding theme song, and Imperial march like Darth Vader's theme. Lord Zed is played by Robert Axelrod, who is the voice of Vinster, and he does a great job. Lord Zed was an imposing force and really signaled a change in the status quo for the show. Now the main villain wasn't stock footage. And speaking of Rita, Zed trapped her in a space dumpster like the one she was in before and launched her into space for failing over and over again. Because of the new threat Lord Zed posed, Zordon had the Rangers upgrade their Zords. Every Zord except for Tommy's upgraded into the Thunder Zords, which were the Zords from Die Ranger, the Sentai that followed Zoo Ranger. Tommy didn't receive one because his powers were failing, which were becoming more apparent in this season. And that was Zed's main goal, to drain the Green Ranger power away from Tommy, and he came very close on multiple occasions. But this is the story where he finally succeeds. In addition to that, Bulk and Skull have a new comedic shtick for this season, trying to figure out who the Power Rangers are so they could become famous like them. It's a nice change since their bully thing had run its course, and it leads to even more comedic opportunities. Green No More, Part 1. The episode starts with Kimberly asking Tommy if he's doing okay after Alpha did a bioscan on his powers. Kimberly says that maybe there is a way to restore his powers, but Tommy's not sure because this entire season Lord Zed had been trying to drain his powers and he will not stop. They get interrupted as a holographic Tommy appears in front of them. He says he's Tommy from the future and that during the final battle, he needs his communicator and there's nothing more he can tell him. Lord Zed meanwhile knows the end of the Green Ranger is at hand, and when the Green Ranger is no more, the other Rangers will also fall. At Angel Grove High, we meet Zach's cousin Curtis and their friend Richie, a bartender at the youth center. They were characters introduced in season 2 for a reason we'll get into during the next two-parter. Safe to say they are nothing characters I barely remember and who disappear halfway through this season. Curtis is dancing in the school when Billy, Zach, and Richie convene to talk. Tommy shows up before Bulk and Skull roll in literally in some trash cans. They look really scared as they point to behind the Rangers where we see the 5 new kids who show off pretty quick that they're trouble. Believe it or not, these 5 kids are going to be part of the plot, get my hopes up, and make me very disappointed. Back with Lord Zed, he is impressed with those 5 teens and decide they are going to be his Dark Rangers. Lord Zed explains that when the Green Ranger morphs one more time, the power will go to his crystal for some reason. At the command center, Zordon gives Tommy the bad news. They have been unable to restore his powers and he only has one fight left before the powers are gone. Tommy asks about the message from the future, but Zordon doesn't know the whereabouts. Only that it was clear Tommy wasn't morphed. Tommy asks how he's supposed to fight without his powers, but we cut away before we can hear Zordon's answer. The other Rangers are at the beach when the punks from earlier show up. They say that Angel Grove belongs to them now. Guys, I know you're dumb punks, but why are you going after these guys? At school earlier, Tommy is the one who stood up to you guys. Billy and Zach just watched. It looks like the teens are about to fight when Lord Zed teleports the punks away to Otherworld. It's this weird other dimensional place, I don't really know. They could have come up with a better name. Lord Zed sets up his green crystal and welcomes the punks who are clearly under mind control. Zed has the crystal that will drain the Green Ranger's power, and once Zed sends out a monster, Tommy will join the fight and use up the rest of his strength. Inspired by Kimberly's seashell collecting, he creates a shell monster. Yeah, this was Zed's gimmick back then. Instead of having Vinster make monsters for him, Lord Zed made monsters himself by corrupting something important to the Rangers. The comics actually expanded on this, saying that even when Zed loses, he turns something they loved into a monster, so he won in a small way. And that makes the Dark Ranger's plan ring even more with his character. If his whole shtick is taking something people love and twisting it into something evil, then taking the Power Rangers beloved by everyone and turning them into Earth's destroyers is brilliant. At the command center, the Rangers see the shell monster tearing up the city. The Rangers want Tommy to sit this out, but Zordon says the monster is called Turban Shell, and he is a very powerful monster. Zordon says it's Tommy's choice and he decides to morph with his friends. The Rangers head out to see Turban Shell destroying the city, free and they summon the Thunderzords. Fun fact for this season, after they burned through all the Zoo Ranger and Zoo 2 fight scene footage they ordered from Japan, they merged another Sentai into Power Rangers called Die Ranger. They didn't adapt to the Ranger suits or fight scenes from that show, but as I said, they did adapt to the Zords and the future White Ranger. The Thunderzords also look awesome. I love the mystical theme to them, and the Megazord looks dope. Although unfortunately, the individual Zords don't get any personalized fights because of how immovable they are. Tommy meanwhile summons the Dragon Zord, and this is surreal. Zords from two different Sentai teams team up to fight a monster. That also explains why the Megazord stays in the background while the Dragon Zord interacts with the monster. This is also a little sad because, spoilers, this is the last time the Dragon Zord is used properly by Tommy in the show. And it's a bummer. This is one of the most iconic Zords in Power Ranger history. What happened to it after this two-parter is a bit of a mystery. Yeah, it reappeared later, but my theory is after the Green Ranger powers went, since they are tied with the Zords, the Dragon Zord probably faded away too. Turban Shell is so powerful that he blasts the Thunder Zords and runs off. He goes back to Lord Zed weakened, and Zed is not happy since he could have destroyed the Power Rangers but didn't. He orders Turban Shell to return to battle as Tommy gets teleported away from the others. Tommy gets teleported to an open field where Turban Shell is waiting for him. They have a brief fight when the monster steals the rest of his powers. The powers go to the green crystal as the other Rangers are cut off from Zordon. They get teleported as well to the other dimension unmorphed and trapped behind a force field. Zed is there with Goldar and he explains this place is the other world. Their morphers are useless and they can't call for help because of the crystal he has. I'm going to assume teleporting them and blocking their morphers are because of this crystal, because if he could do this the whole time, why didn't Zed do this? And here is the moment we've been waiting for, a team of Dark Rangers, evil counterparts to the Power Rangers. They walked out and they look like that. They come out wearing the absolute worst Ranger outfits of all time. Look at these guys. They have faded suits and the red eyes are sewn on cheap fabric. Some of them aren't even on straight. These suits are so cheap and really stand out when they are next to Zed and Goldar, two monsters with great suits. Like, I wasn't expecting amazing suits, but give them something. Give me $300 and I could make something better. I actually read the comic version of this storyline, and those Dark Rangers looked exactly like the main team except for different helmets, and that would have worked much better. Or you could have used the Die Ranger suits here. You weren't using them for this show anyway, so why not bring them in to be the Dark Rangers? Maybe make a storyline like the Green Ranger saga, when they start out evil but turn to good to fight some bad guys. Or you could have had them just not transform because they have no fight scenes or bearing on the plot from this point forward. Plus, how can Zed do this? The Green Ranger powers were failing and that was the last bit of energy from Tommy, so how does Zed have enough energy to create a whole Ranger team? Well, I guess that's why they look so terrible. There's not enough energy to create a good suit. I mean, this story really fumbled the bag with the great idea of an evil Ranger team. There have been dark mirrors of the team before, but they were always one-off putties imitating them. A full team of evil Rangers is fumbled and the creative team wouldn't get it right until the Psycho Rangers, which we may look at someday. It's like the creators didn't want to fully commit to this idea, like they were testing the waters. But they didn't need to test the waters, they already did. My logic is, if the Green Ranger saga featuring an evil Ranger was such a success, why wouldn't you want to do it again with a team of Rangers? I'm not saying they had to stick around, but just have a storyline with them. You have 60 episodes per season to play with this idea. Now thankfully Boom Studios picked up the ball where Mighty Morphin dropped it and made a proper Dark Ranger team featuring the bad guys from the first season of Power Rangers, and they are much cooler there. Speaking of bad costumes, by the way, Zed's staff is duct taped together, which sticks out like a sore thumb. Zed says that since Zordon picked 5 teams to protect the world, he has chosen 5 to destroy it. Now that Zed has locked Alpha and Zordon in the command center, no one is going to stop his team of Rangers. The Rangers try to reason with the Dark Rangers, but it's no use since they're under his spell like Tommy was. Zed says Tommy is somewhere in the other world, but it doesn't matter since he doesn't have his powers anymore, and sad former Ranger is hiding away from Turban Shell, ending the episode uncertain of the future. Alright, the end of this episode, but how does it rank? Characterization, I'm giving a 4. The Rangers are strong as always with clearly defined characters and everyone acts like they're supposed to. The story, I'm sorry, but I'm giving it a 0. There are way too many plot conveniences here for me to just accept. Zed just for some reason gets all these broken abilities. From nowhere he just has a crystal that can drain Tommy's powers, creates a whole team of Rangers by himself, and manages to trap all of the good guys with no explanation. It's a lazy story with too many things you just need to accept. Entertainment though, I'm giving a 4. It's classic Mighty Morphin fun. The entertainment is always going to be through the roof, even if the episode is a bit lackluster. Importance gets a 5. I mean, this is the first part of a pretty big storyline, the goodbye of the Green Ranger. It's a must-watch. Green No More, Part 2. The episode starts with Tommy fighting back against Turban Shell before running off, hiding in a ditch and escaping the monster before pulling him down a steep hill. At the command center, they are trapped in a force field as Alpha tries to get out, realizing that the shield is closing around them. Goldar asks Zed if he can destroy destroy the Rangers, but Zed says he's going to strip them of their coins and send them back to their home, powerless to stop them. A fitting punishment for defying him. Zed teleports them back to Earth, where they try to contact Zordon but are unsuccessful. Billy says that if he can get back to his lab, he might be able to contact Zordon, as Goldar teleports to Turban Shell and takes over for him because he tasked him with destroying the city. After he leaves, Goldar taunts Tommy, asking how it feels to be powerless again. Goldar says Tommy will bow down before him, and shows him a clip show of all the times Tommy saved the day as the Green Ranger. Always there when the others needed him, saving his friends 100 times, destroying monster after monster, commanding his mighty Dragon Zord, and it's all over now. Billy, meanwhile, uses his 90s computer to break through the shield and contact Zordon. Yes, he did all of this in his garage, and it's not the weirdest thing he's made in there. Turban Shell, meanwhile, is on the news for rampaging downtown as Zed gloats in his awesome throne room. Goldar says that before he sends Tommy spinning into space with this time device he has for some reason, he wants Tommy to admit he is superior. Tommy looks up to him and says Goldar is out of his mind before doing an awesome jumping punch filled with pure awesomeness. Tommy then kicks the time device out of Goldar's hand and takes it for himself. Tommy admits that he was about ready to give up until Goldar showed him that clip show. Tommy realized it wasn't just the Green Ranger doing good, it was him as plain old Tommy. Tommy sends Goldar away with the time device. I'm not sure, but I think he might have just sent Goldar traveling through time. Tommy realizes he could contact himself in the past, which explained what happened earlier. Tommy activates the machine, which summons a hologram of himself from the past, who hands over a communicator. Yeah, all this time nonsense is really unnecessary and really confusing. You could have just had Tommy steal Goldar's teleportation sword and get out of there like he did in the last arc. But whatever, Tommy uses the communicator, I thought didn't work in the other world, to teleport to the other Rangers at Billy's garage, who managed to get through to the command center. Zordon says that the green crystal needs to be destroyed and only a non-Power Ranger can enter Zed's dimension undetected. Alpha teleports Tommy back to the other world where Zed is hyping up his troops. Tommy sneaks up to him and steals the crystal, smashing it on a rock. That depowers and frees the Dark Rangers, sending them back to Earth as Tommy teleports away. To be honest, I really like how the bad guys are beaten in this episode. The reason Zed sent the Rangers back to Earth instead of destroying them, and the reason he didn't make much effort to find Tommy, is because he didn't think they were a threat without their powers. But the universal rule of Power Rangers, the power doesn't make you a Ranger. It's acting with or without power that makes you a Ranger. The Rangers not giving up and defeating Zed here despite not having their powers really shows why they are worthy to be called the Power Rangers. Tommy smashing the crystal returned the Rangers' morphers and restored his powers enough for one last fight. They all morph together with Tommy morphing into the Green Ranger one last time. The Rangers teleport to Turban Shell's location and summons the Thunder Megazord. Turban Shell uses a special attack to knock the other Ranger Zords off, leaving the Red Dragon Zord all on its own. And I just realized at this point in time we had 2 Dragon Zords. Zordon calls Tommy before he summons the Dragon Zord and says the only way to beat this monster is to hit his inner shell with intense heat and the outside with intense cold. Tommy has the bright idea to hide inside of a food truck and let the monster eat him. Tommy then uses this random heat gun he has for some reason to blast the inside of the monster. Okay, I normally let a lot of this stuff slide, but random devices are just popping up everywhere with no explanation as to where they came from. Like Sentai footage is one thing, but Goldar just having a time machine is something else. Later they explain Billy made it, but come on, when did he do that? Tommy burns the monster's stomach as Zack grabs a normal water hose and it somehow shoots a massive gust of water big enough to surround the massive kaiju monster. Obviously this was Mastodon Zord footage, so why didn't they just use that? I get they moved on, but you couldn't use the stock footage for this one scene? Anyway, Zack freezes his outside, which gives Tommy the chance to escape, although he was hurt. The Rangers summon the Thunder Megazord and uses its overpowered sword to destroy Turban Shell. At the youth center, the Rangers are all hanging out when the former Dark Rangers show up with no memory of what happened. Kimberly makes the suggestion that maybe what they need are some friends, so they walk over and pay for their sodas. Jason suggests they start over and they all become friends. What? Yeah, this is really stupid. The whole sorry, we just needed friends makes no sense. Earlier, these guys were like Cobra Kai, all like, let's take over Angel Grove and beat up people. And now it's, yeah, we're all friends now? This is the laziest way to come up with a happy ending to this saga. They are punks, plain and simple. They're not going to change their ways because the Rangers paid for their sodas. Back at the command center, Zordon congratulates them on a job well done, saying that when Tommy smashed the crystal, it got rid of the shield around the command center. They all say he did amazing and saved the day almost entirely without his powers. Tommy admits he almost gave up, but then he realized it wasn't the power that gives him strength, it's who he is. Jason says he'll always be one of them, and Tommy says he will miss them when he leaves on a school break, and they all do the jumping high five they always do together. Characterization, I'm giving a 5. Everyone Everyone is great in this episode, especially Tommy, who learns that with or without powers, he's still a ranger and has done plenty of good. The story is getting a 1 though. Everything with Tommy learning that powers aren't what make a ranger are great, but it's everything else. Random devices popping up here and there like the time watch. Plus the resolution with the bullies was so rushed. Entertainment, I'm giving a 5. It's always fun though. You are never bored watching the series. It is an adrenaline rush from start to finish. Importance is also getting a 5. It is the goodbye for Tommy as the Green Ranger, and he wouldn't take up the mantle again until, no joke, 19 years later. This is kind of a must watch. So that's the end of the Green Ranger, but it's not the end of the fight or this story. We have 3 episodes after this 2-parter before White Light, and I wanted to look at one of them called Missing Green, a standout among the 3. They're all fun, don't get me wrong, but this one acts as the epilogue of the 2-parter. In this episode, and the other 2, we see how all the Rangers, primarily Jason, take Tommy losing the Green Ranger powers and leaving to clear his head. Missing Green. This episode starts out with Jason practicing his martial arts, with Zach prepping for the upcoming tournament, but Jason can't focus. That's because 1, he misses Tommy, and 2, he can't stop thinking that it's his fault Tommy's not a ranger. If Jason had gotten the green candle in the Green Candle 2-parter, Tommy would still be a ranger. Zach says that it wasn't his fault. He had a choice to make, but Jason is adamant it was his fault. Zed, overhearing this, devises a new plan to create 4 more candles to drain the other ranger's power, and he creates said candles. Back at the youth center, everyone is trying to figure out what to do with Jason. Kimberly says that they should find Tommy, who has gone off the grid. Kimberly says that Tommy might be at his uncle's cabin, where he sometimes goes when he's feeling down. They agree to go as Bulk and Skull decide to follow them, overhearing them mention the Rangers. And they follow the Rangers in a taxi which belongs to Bulk's aunt, although she still made them turn the meter on. You know, it's their job to be the punching bag of the show, but I don't know. Paying additional cab fare just seems like a low point for them. The Rangers pull over on the side of the road to check for directions as Skull shows off the wackiest camera I've ever seen with a plastic eye and duct tape. Seeing the Rangers out in the open, Lord Zed sends Goldar to Earth to fight the Rangers. The Rangers morph right when Bulk and Skull are right next to them, and the 2 don't see them morph! How did you 2 not see them morph? You were right there! Plus, don't you 2 think it's suspicious that your classmates disappeared and the Rangers took their place in almost an instant? I know they're supposed to be bumbling, but they're not morons. Bulk and Skull pull out a camera, but they get humiliated, of course, as Goldar teleports the Rangers away, which, to be fair, he has done before. Goldar locks the Rangers up in the Dark Dimension, man, this place just keeps showing up, where Goldar sets up the candles, presumably after the Rangers touch them. Goldar lights up the candles with the flimsy remains of the Green Candle. At the command center, Zordon, Jason, and Alpha are looking for the other Rangers. Zordon explains that since he was worried about Tommy, they wanted to find him and show him he's alright before Jason's karate match for a shiny trophy. Zed, meanwhile, figures that if Jason wants to win the trophy so bad, he'd give it to him early, by transforming it into a gold monster called Pipe Brain. At the command center, they see the monster as Alpha finds the other Rangers in the frickin' Dark Dimension, and they see the Rangers are losing their powers. Jason is furious, but Zordon says that this is what Zed wants, him to be angry and not think straight. This is another big difference between Lord Zed and Rita. Rita was very personal and childish, despite being over 10,000 years old. Instead of spying on the Rangers to find their weaknesses or plan attacks, she would send out monsters to be petty. There were multiple times she sent out a monster for unimportant reasons, like this one time she sent putties to destroy a float model Kimberly made. She would waste perfectly good resources because she wanted to make the Rangers feel bad instead of, you know, destroying them. Lord Zed, however, is far more strategical. Even when he fails, he always has his eye on the ball. The ball being the destruction of the Power Rangers and conquest of Earth. Everything he has done since his arrival has been working towards that purpose, and he never wastes resources like Rita did. He was spying on the Rangers, realized Jason was upset about the Green Candle fiasco, and conducted this whole scheme under the basis that Jason will screw up because of his anger and the Rangers would lose their powers. Zordon tells Jason that a leader is always faced with tough decisions, and that he must act based on what he thinks is right. That his decision to help Tommy in the Green Candle 2-parter was the right one. Zordon tells Jason that he has another tough decision to make, because if he goes into the Dark Dimension, his powers could be lost as well, but Jason says he's willing to take the risk. Zordon says only after he defeats the Pipe Brain monster can he access the Dark Dimension, and he goes to fight said monster. Jason morphs to fight the Pipe Brain monster, except not really. They clearly didn't have the suit for the monster, so it's just Jason fighting some Z putties. Yeah, not all of the monsters from Die Ranger transferred over to the US, so they usually did workarounds such as this where the Rangers would fight putties. I should also mention the Z putties are upgraded versions of the putties that Zed makes on his own, all with the silver look to them. They have a fatal flaw though, and that is if you hit the Z on their chest hard enough, they explode. That is terrible design, Zed. They can't do simple things now, like buckle a seatbelt or sleep on their bellies. Zed is truly a monster. Also, if you watch this episode, you'll hear something weird. Even though Austin St. John has been acting in this episode, the ADR for the fight is a completely different voice actor who sounds nothing like Jason. I would normally say that maybe Austin was sick or something and he couldn't record lines, but in future episodes after this, both he, Walter, and Trang don't have ADR for their Ranger suits. This means they walked off set before they could finish recording, which I already talked about in the first Power Rangers movie review. Anyways, the fight is still fun, and even though it's a design flaw for the putties to explode, seeing them explode is pretty cool. Zed makes the monster grow as Jason summons his Red Dragon Zord, which shoots fire at Pipe Brain. We then get one of the coolest Zord battles in the entire show, as Jason transforms his Red Dragon Zord into its battle mode to fight Pipe Brain. Not only is it a nail-biting, fast-paced fight with great action, since the suits are so nimble, they can really move around and do these impressive stunts, including the Red Dragon Zord doing this cool lance-spinning maneuver which summons red petals. While it sucks Austin didn't record ADR for what is Jason's best episode, the silence kind of works in the scene and makes it feel so epic, because it shows that Jason is taking this fight super seriously. No quips, no jokes. His friends are in trouble and he's gonna do everything he can to save them. But yeah, after a great fight, Jason wins and returns the trophy to its normal state. Jason is able to teleport into the Dark Dimension with his flu voice as the candles are about to be burned out. He fights with Goldar, and man is this full circle. Now that he's got that character development and you know his powers, he's able to stop Goldar and free his friends. Jason manages to get their powers back and destroy the candles before leading the team out of the Dark Dimension. Unless I am mistaken, this might be the very last time we see this place, which is sad because this was the oldest villains that we had since Green with Evil. Everyone meets up at the command center where Zordon and his friends say they're proud of Jason. Alpha meanwhile has located Tommy, who is at a cabin like Kimberly said. He's writing a letter to his friends to let them know he's okay, but he needs time to get his head together. Tommy says Jason needs to go win the gold pipe trophy, and he never blamed Jason for what happened. He's a great leader and a good friend. The Rangers head to the martial arts tournament, but Bulk and Skull stop them, saying they got photos of the Rangers. But when looking at the pictures, they only got a photo of the eggs that fell on them. Jason, meanwhile, with his newfound confidence, shows off his karate moves to the judges, and he wins the trophy, who was a monster a few hours ago. The episode ends with Jason saying he won this for Tommy as the other Rangers lift him up. I think this was awesome. Aside from this episode, multiple episodes following Green Ranger's departure featuring the Rangers missing Tommy, and I really like this. It not only gives the audience time to breathe in between story arcs, it also gives the Rangers some character development and a chance to really miss Tommy, which I felt was missing from the last season. I also love the direction they went with this. Jason feeling terrible about what happened only to get a chance at redemption is crazy smart. I mean, his failure had been eating him up inside, but he learns being a leader isn't easy and sometimes you have to make tough calls. Plus, he got total redemption. He defeated a strong monster in an awesome Zord battle, saved his team from the candles, beat Goldar in the Dark Dimension, got his confidence back, and won a trophy to boot. This may very well be Jason's best episode in the entire series. It is also kind of his last stand as a Ranger because a couple episodes after the White Light two-parter, Austin St. John, Walter Jones, and Tohei Trang all walked out on the show. I mean, their characters stuck around for another 6 episodes to set up their replacements, but the actors weren't there. With the benefit of hindsight, I would have given all the Rangers an episode to develop and move past Tommy leaving the team like Jason did. They all would have been standouts, and it would have given Walter and Trang a good last solo episode before they left. Characterization, I'm giving a 6. The character writing in this episode is excellent, and especially for Jason. Like I said, this is his best episode developing his character when normally we'd keep the status quo. The story, I'm giving a 5. I mean, sure, Lord Zed has candles for some reason, but who cares? The storyline of Jason getting redemption is awesome. Entertainment gets a 6. I mean, the Zord battle alone would have given this a 5. Seriously, go check it out, it's great. But really, this whole episode is a blast. Importance is getting a 4. Technically, you don't need to watch this, but I can't say you should ignore it. It's the epilogue of saying goodbye to the Green Ranger. It's worth checking out. Okay, this is where we're going to stop for today. We are going to go over the White Light two-parter, but the video ended up being a little long, so we're going to go over that very soon. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Part 2 will be coming up very soon. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.